Hey y'all, it's Angel, your best friend who happens to be a therapist. I still can't believe they talked me into doing a podcast, but here I am and here we go. I'm not gonna lie to you, we gonna talk about everything. Nothing's off limits, the good, bad, and the ugly. So put your seatbelt on and enjoy the ride. Hey friends, welcome back. Have you ever carried someone who was capable of walking themselves? Think about that. Have you? In life. Not literally, but figuratively. If you understand what I'm saying, yes. Today, we are talking about enabling versus helping. And I want you to ask yourself, are you an enabler or are you a helper? Let's talk about the difference first, okay? Helping someone is supporting someone else to grow and be independent. It's teaching them how to do something, where enabling is doing it for them, justifying or supporting someone else's poor decision or poor behavior. Now ask yourself, are you an enabler or are you a helper? To help you answer that question, I'm gonna do like a little list of do this, not this, right? So do this. Teach the person. Don't do it for them. So do this. Support the person through their consequences of their behavior. Don't protect them from their consequences of their behavior. Do be honest with them. Don't lie to them or minimize the truth. Now, I'm going to go over some examples in a minute, but let's just keep going. Do create an independent person. Don't create a dependent person. Do create a successful person. Don't create someone who's unable to do anything or complete a task on their own. Do address the issue at hand. Do not ignore it. Do explore options and let them make their decision based on the options that you gave them. Do not solve the problem for them. All right, so now you got the do's and the don'ts, right? Do this, not this. Let's go over some examples, some real life examples. All right, so giving our kids everything, spoiling them. Listen, we all want to spoil our kids. We do. That's why we work so hard, right? We want to give them the things that we didn't have. But did you ever stop to think that we were so motivated to be successful, so motivated to get things done because we didn't have? Like, that is what makes a lot of successful adults is growing up not having those things and having to earn them. So, yes, it's okay to spoil your child every now and again, but making them earn things is extremely important. Extremely important, because spoiling them too much would be enabling them. Having them earn things would be helping them. Trust me. Or making excuses for bad behaviors. I've seen people do this with children. They know their child. They know their child hits people. And then when somebody says they hit their child, and then the parents want to jump in it, and it's a mess. But you know your child. You know your child don't keep his hands to himself. Or you know your child don't keep her hands to herself. Like, you know that about your child. Stop, faking the funk. That's that minimizing and lying, right? Versus being honest and saying, yeah, my child got a hand problem. They don't know how to keep their hands to themselves, right? But, and I've seen people do it with adults. Have excuses for bad behavior. One of the most common ones is speaking. So we all know walking into a room and not saying hello, that shit is rude. It's rude and it's disrespectful. Not tolerated. It's not okay. So I don't care whether you're an adult or whether you're a child, it's still rude and disrespectful. So when a child walks into somebody's house and they don't speak and the parent says, oh, well, they're tired or they just woke up, you should still prompt your child to say hello. They don't have to get in trouble. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but you can simply prompt them to say hello so that when they become an adult, they don't walk in as an adult into work and not speak, or into a room full of people or in a meeting and not say hello. It's rude and it's disrespectful, whether you're a child or you're an adult. There's no excuse for it. And I don't make excuses for bad behavior. That's, that just is what it is. Giving an addict money, right? So if you know someone has an addiction, whether it's to a substance, whether it's to gambling, whether it's shopping, whether it's food, whatever their addiction is, giving them money to support that habit is definitely an enabler. And yeah, these things are hard, y'all. I'm not saying that this shit is easy to do, especially when it's a loved one. But, giving them money is enabling. It's carrying them when they can walk, because they are able-bodied adults and they can get up and go get a job and earn their money. Now they get to do what they want with their money, but if they lose their job, right, because of their addiction, you giving them money would be protecting them from their consequences versus supporting them through their consequences, which would be encouraging them to get a job, saying, hey, you do your resume, I'll look over it, or let's do a interview, a mock interview, right? That would be supporting them. But just giving them money, paying their bills for them, that's definitely enabling them. Cleaning up behind your kids versus helping them clean up, right? So I see parents do this all the time. The kids go in a room, make a mess, they go in there and they just clean it up for them. And then when people come over their house and their house is messy, they say, oh my goodness, I have kids. No, these kids are able bodies and they know how to pick up a toy and put it in a toy box. It don't take rocket science to do that. My kids, I have been prompting them to clean up since they were 1. At the age of 1, when they were walking, because they were both walking by 1. So while they was walking and they started talking, pick this toy up and go put it in the toy box. You know that famous song, clean up, everybody, everywhere. Yep, that one. I've been singing that shit to my kids since they were 1. And now look at them now. They got hella chores. But it's a gradual thing. It's necessary. Trust me. Abuse or disrespect. If you know that a friend of yours or a family member of yours is abusive to their spouse, abusive to their partner, abusive to anyone or people in the world, or just plain old bullies, and you know that they are, you can't minimize their behavior and say that that's okay because they got anger problems. No, it's not. It's not okay. It is, a helper would encourage them to go to anger management and for them to get help so that they don't continue to treat people poorly. But an enabler would say, oh, that's okay. They got anger problems. You know that they had a rough childhood. There's a lot of people that had a rough childhood. A lot. And you can either choose to repeat that rough childhood behavior, or you can either choose to get some help to make sure you don't repeat it. These are all decisions that adults have to make. Another common one is, grief and loss, right? Anger is part of grief and loss. And we can get a little irritable. We can get a little angry. We might not be the best people to be around when we're deep in grief and loss, right? It doesn't give us an excuse to be mean to people. Now, yes, I totally agree. Give grace when grace is due, right? It's okay to say, I know you're grieving, and it's okay. And I'm not going to take what you just said to me personally. I'm not going to take what you just did to me personally. I'm going to give you your space. That's a helper. An enabler is a year later, you still saying that their behavior is because they lost their mom or they lost their dad. It's not an ongoing excuse, right? Grace is something that is temporary while, you're giving them their space to get better, to heal, to do better, right? But it's not an infinite. Grace isn't infinite. Like, it's something that, you give to somebody while they're working on doing better. If they're not working on doing better, then no, you don't get grace. At that point, it becomes enabling. And at that point, we got to set the boundary to say, I'm not going to let you treat me that way. And until you're willing to treat me better, then I guess we really don't kind of have anything to talk about. One thing I want to kind of talk about is being, that people say that helping is being mean to somebody, instead of you doing it for them, and you rather take the time to teach them how to do it. They're like, oh, you being mean. That's not mean. Or, you don't pay their bill for them because they chose to spend it on weed. No, that's not mean. That's called natural consequences. If I have a phone bill and you got a phone bill and you choose to spend your phone bill money on your weed, and I choose to use my money to pay my phone bill, and my phone is working, and I choose not to give you money for your phone, that doesn't make me mean. That doesn't make me mean. That's called boundaries. That's called being a helper, supporting them through those consequences and saying, why don't you go work some overtime? Why don't you get a part-time job? To kind of help that person through that, support that person through that, not just do it for them and say, all right, I'll take care of your bill for you. How will they ever learn to do better the next month? How does that work? That's how you create a dependent relationship, right? And we call it codependency. And it's very toxic. It's very unhealthy. And I've never seen a successful one. They just don't exist. So that's why, it's kind of important to go over this, because like I said in the beginning, there's a gray line, where you can be helping someone 1 minute and then the next thing you're enabling them. So, you got to be mindful of these things. It's important to stay aware. It's important to be, just aware of what you're doing. Is it a regular occurrence? Is it, ever so often? Like, what am I doing? Just ask yourself, am I helping or am I enabling? So go back to the list of the do this, not this. Go back through some of the examples and think about, have I done this? Am I doing this? Do I need to stop? Because sometimes it's unintentional. Sometimes it's just a habit, like, for example, I'll give you a personal one of mine, being a parent. When you have a baby, they depend on you for every single thing. And one thing I have to constantly remind myself of is every year as my children get older, I have to stop doing some of the things that I was doing when they were 6 months, old, when they were 6 months old. For example, I'll give you one. This is one that's going on in my house right now. My son is 10 and my daughter is 7. They are in the habit of mommy fixing their plate. See, before I used to do it because, they weren't tall enough to reach everything. They really didn't understand portions. They didn't know. But now, they can fix their own plates. They can get their own forks. They can get their own plates. They can put the food on their plates. So now we're in this transition period of me not serving them and them learning how to fix their own plates and serve themselves. Like, it is a real thing, like, for real, because as a parent, that was something that I was just kind of used to doing. It became a habit. I've been doing it for so long, for so many years. So those are the things that you have to kind of stop and ask yourself. Am I really helping them or am I enabling them? And, that's just a very minor, small, example, but it's something that I have to keep evaluating. So constant evaluation of, am I helping or am I enabling? That is important. So you have to make a conscious effort to readjust from the caretaker role, which is what, you need sometimes, to a teacher role. So just be aware and adjust as needed. So now, with all of that said, ask yourself, are you an enabler or are you a helper? And if you don't know still, you can always go to therapy and learn more about it. Doesn't have to be with me. Doesn't have to be with an Angel's Touch. It can be with anyone else. It can be in group therapy. It can be in individual therapy. Whatever kind of therapy you are most comfortable with. But go to a therapist and ask. Get evaluated. If you are self-evaluating and you're having trouble figuring that out, go to therapy and figure it out. Have somebody help you. Because the therapist's job is to help you, not enable you. Teach you how, give you the tools and teach you how to implement them so that you can evaluate yourself. That's the therapist's job. All right now. I hope y'all got something from this. I hope y'all not too pissed off at me because we've all been an enabler. We've all been there. Yes, I have been there. Right? But it's okay. You live and you learn. As long as you're learning and getting better and doing better, it's going to be all good. All right, friends. Till next time. Thanks for listening to I'm Not Gonna Lie to You podcast. Subscribe for more insightful and down-to-earth content. And don't forget to follow us on social media at An Angel's Touch 8 on Instagram and An Angel's Touch Therapy on Facebook.